If y'all was in here for a long time, it usually puts you at the top, so I just go in order.
What's up, man? How's it going?
I'm good, bro. How you doing?
Good. So first, I just want to start it like with your title saying that no good reason to be Muslim. I feel like that's kind of exaggerated because kind of like he described, like there's good principles and morals in Islam. So necessarily minimizing it, saying that there's no good reason to doesn't make sense. But I understand if it's just like to get people in the live and to like raise a point and whatnot.
Well,
But I just want to.
there's good structure in jail. That doesn't mean that it's a good reason to go to jail.
But structure and principles aren't the same thing. Like in jail, it's a punishment for doing bad things. In Islam, it says
I'm saying that you could. So the things that are good in Islam, it takes from Christianity. Like, oh, there's a virgin birth. Like, yeah, that it takes that from Christianity. Oh,
I
Jesus
wouldn't
is the
necessarily
Messiah.
say take. I'm respectfully, I mean it like that's not taking just because they have the same idea. Just because one becomes comes before another doesn't mean the other one took it.
I
Because if
mean,
that was the case,
I could agree with that. That's,
if
but
that
I'm
was the
saying that.
case, then the Quran would have copied everything from the Bible, and that's just not true.
Yeah, so I'm saying that they get this idea of Jesus being the Messiah of the virgin birth from Christianity. That comes from Christianity. That's
But if
taught
they
in
got that,
Christianity.
I mean, I can see your argument because you believe Christianity came first. But if that was the case, then why would they not agree on the crucifixion?
Because so like Islam and the Quran, it's and there's scholars that say this, it's what you would get if you just took all of the cultures and religions that was in Arabia at that time and just mashed them together in a book. So the idea of the crucifixion, like Jesus not being crucified, that comes from a heresy that was circulating in Christianity called like Docetism and Gnosticism. And pretty much they believe that Jesus Christ didn't get crucified because he was divine, because he was this godlike figure. They believe that material is inherently evil. So they didn't believe that God could fully incarnate. So they believe that Jesus had like a spirit body, so they don't believe. Can you hear me?
Yeah, here you go.
Yeah. So they don't believe that Jesus actually had a body. So that's why they believe that Jesus wasn't on the cross. Now, Islam like gets the idea of Jesus not being crucified from there. And they don't actually understand as to why those people were saying that, because they were saying that Jesus didn't get crucified because he was divine. And then Islam strips Jesus of his divinity because Muhammad was in contact with the Aryan monk, a Aryan who is a Christian or quote unquote Christian who's a heretic. Um, he had contact with an Aryan monk that believes that Jesus Christ is not divine. So you have all these things about, okay, there's this man in Jesus Christ. He's the Messiah. He didn't die because that's what this other heretic over here says. And that's how you get the crucifixion narrative of Islam.
I mean, I can see your argument for that. I wouldn't necessarily agree because obviously, like I said it before, but like if it takes certain aspects of it and mixes it up, I guess you can make that argument. But I wouldn't necessarily say it has to be true from that way. Like it's a possibility, but I don't necessarily seeing it being that way because of the difference that Islam had in the future. For example, giving more rights to women and having like said, like we were talking about it. We can get to that but like the amount of time after marriage, like before that you're not even allowed to get married, I mean divorced, like that's not a thing in time before Islam, and it's even in the Bible you're not supposed to get divorced either. But in Islam
Right, there's
they
so
set for it.
there's full laws on divorce in the Old Testament, right?
Yeah, there's
Like
full laws of it, but it's heavily discouraged.
I'm saying, well, yeah, it's heavily discouraged. Like you're not supposed to want to get
Yeah, the
divorced.
same thing with that. Like, I'm not saying I'm encouraging divorce, but I'm saying Islam set guidelines about the certain periods of time of how long you have from getting divorced to get back, and for example, giving rights to women that they didn't usually have beforehand. Like that's why I'm saying
And
it differs, and it's not just a
I'm saying
mashup
in
because it
and here
distinguishes itself.
I'm not gonna have another conversation on marriage. So here's the thing though, is that whatever historical method you're going to use to try to prove that Islam is true, right? If you were to try to prove that, oh, Muhammad actually spoke to Gabriel in a cave, and I'm going to prove
Hmm.
that by using the hadith that has this chain of narration that comes about 200 years after, but it attests to this event that happened in a cave, right? And that's
Hmm.
why we can accept it as true. Okay, If that's going to be your standard as to how we can know that something is historical, then using that same standard, the crucifixion also happened, which means that
Well,
Islam is
here I
going to
can
be
I can
false.
answer that if you want. I can answer that.
Hmm.
So basically, saying that that one moment where he's in the cave was the miracle that we have to accept isn't necessarily true, because there are other instances where he was receiving revelation that other people were witnessing it. It wasn't
Where do
just a
you?
one time.
Okay, where do you get? Okay, fine. Let's
Yeah.
use that. That's perfect, right? Other
Mhm.
what? Pick your favorite moment of a miracle where he was
I'm just saying
receiving
it's not. He
revelation.
wasn't by himself. That's what I'm
That's
trying to say. Like
I'm
there's
saying it
periods of
it
time
doesn't
where.
matter, right? Okay, cool. You have people who were there and witnessed it. Did they write their own things?
Yeah, that's where it comes from, the hadiths.
Okay, the hadith is one narration that then gets passed down after 100 years, and then it's finally written. So they didn't write their own things. Someone ended up writing what he heard from somebody else, and then that traces back to a time where somebody was a companion of the prophet. That's fine.
Well,
Hold on,
mhm.
I'm saying that's fine,
I got you. I
right?
got you. I'm winning.
I'm saying that if that's your standard as to how you can know that something actually historically happened, like these people were there and they witnessed Muhammad received a revelation, then if you're going to be consistent by that same standard, there is more evidence for the crucifixion. Therefore, you should believe that the crucifixion happened.
So I can actually answer that. So I understand your point by saying that, and the reason why we're not saying that the crucifixion didn't happen, but we're saying that even it says in the Quran that it appeared to happen as Jesus getting crucified, because God was saving Jesus from that crucifixion, so he raised him up to heaven. So it's not saying that it didn't happen, it's saying that it happened and it appeared to people. So that's a reason why you're saying historically it's found that everyone agrees that he was crucified, because that was the whole purpose. The whole purpose was so he's deemed to look that he was crucified.
So here,
Obviously it has to be
imagine.
consistent.
So look, imagine that I'm telling you, I'm coming to you, and I'm saying that I'm a Mormon, right? And I'm saying that, yeah, it just appeared to all those people like Muhammad was receiving revelation, right? But I'm just saying that. But all your earliest sources say that there were multiple people who actually saw Muhammad giving revelation. So you're going off of those early sources that say, yeah, they saw him, right? And that's why you're saying that it's historical. Now I'm coming after and saying, no, it just appeared like that. Is that a strong like case? Is that a strong
Well,
argument?
if there's other sources he was getting revelation from God and miracles occurring, then yeah, that seems like a valid source. Do
Okay,
you
do
think
you
that
here? So then
for
fine,
example, I'll use the
fine.
same argument.
Then just prove here. I can either give you an argument that Muhammad is a false prophet, or you can prove that the Quran is the word of God.
Well, the same way that I can prove the Quran's the word of God, you can say the same thing for the Bible, but that gets us nowhere.
So do you want me to prove that Muhammad's a false prophet?
Yeah, you can go ahead.
Okay. In order to be a prophet, you have to be in continuity with the previous prophet.
Mhm.
Okay.
And yeah, and according to the Quran, every prophet who came before preached the same message, which is to worship one God,
That's cool.
and that current prophet of that time period was the prophet of God.
Okay, cool. Right. So we're trying to figure out if the message that Muhammad reveals is in line with the previous prophets. So we're trying to figure out if the Quran is in line with the previous prophets. Where are the writings of the previous prophets?
The Bible currently is not the previous writings of the.
Okay,
I mean,
cool.
you believe it's a previous.
No, brother, I don't.
God, but
It's not about what I believe. If you say this Bible that I have here, it's not reliable. It's not the teachings of the prophets, right?
okay, no problem.
Cool. So if this Bible is not the teachings of the prophets, we don't have any other source that has the teachings of the prophets. So then there's no way to say that Muhammad is actually in continuity with the previous prophets. So then there's no.
Well, let me ask you this. So, do you believe that, for example, if the Islam or the Quran, for example, came 500 years later, do you think that discredits Islam?
I'm not talking about that. I'm saying that.
No, but I'm making an argument here.
I'm saying that even if Islam could come today, right? I'm saying that in order for a prophet to be a true prophet, it has to be in line with the previous prophets. So we have to be able to confirm that it is in line with the previous prophets in order for us to believe that there's a previous.
If you don't even have what the previous prophet said, and the Quran comes afterwards, which is the word of God, why would the word of God not be a credible source?
You're literally just saying
like
that it's the word
I don't
of God.
understand the point, Because if you're saying that Muhammad's not a true God because he wasn't in line with the other prophets, but you don't know what the other prophets said, then that argument goes nowhere.
No, the argument goes there's no reason for us to believe that he's a true prophet.
But you can say the same argument for every prophet beforehand then, because you
I
don't have what
can't.
they say.
Who doesn't?
Where is it?
It's in the Bible.
You just said discredit the Bible. You said we're
I
outside
said
of the
if
Bible.
so I'm saying that if the Bible's reliable and it actually has the teachings of the prophet, then Muhammad's a false prophet because he contradicts the prophets.
Mhm.
I'm saying that if the Bible is not reliable, then we don't have anything from the prophets. So then there's no reason to believe that he's a prophet because we can't prove continuity.
Well, the reason why you can't prove continuity is the same reason I can't believe the Bible, because you don't believe in the Quran. Do you understand that?
Stroke?
Like, how am I having a stroke? It's an argument.
That's
If I don't believe in the Bible, if I don't believe in the Bible, and you believe in the Bible, which is why you don't believe Muhammad's a prophet, then the same reason you don't believe in the Quran is the reason why you can't establish continuity. The reason why I establish continuity is because I believe the Quran is the word of God. The word of God doesn't need continuity or previous sources from other prophets because it's the word of God and the word of God is right. That's the same reason why I don't believe in the Bible, and for the Quran, that you can't establish continuity because you don't believe in the Quran.
okay. All right. So you're saying that I believe in the Quran because the Quran is true. The Quran is true because I believe that it's from God, right? I believe that it's from God because the Quran is true. I believe that the Quran is true because it's from God, right? I believe
Yeah,
it's
and the
from
reason
God
why we
because the
believe it's
Quran
from
is true.
God, no, not at all. The outside sources because of the prophet and the miracles that occurred and the prophecies that occurred, which is what establishes the
How do you know
credibility of
that
the
he's a
Quran.
prophet?
What do you mean? How do you know he's a prophet?
It's in order to be a true prophet, you have to be in continuity with the previous prophets. How do you know that he's a prophet?
Because he's in line with the previous prophets.
How do you know that?
I just told you from the Quran.
Is Muhammad's the one who recites the Quran, right? Who reveals it to the people and the people write it down.
Yeah.
So that's his prophecy that he's proclaiming to the people.
Well, it was God's prophecy through Muhammad.
Okay.
It wasn't
Through Muhammad, this prophecy comes to the people, right?
Yep.
And this prophecy is what we know now as the Quran.
Mhm.
Okay. So we're trying to figure out if the one who this prophecy came through is a true prophet. So how would we use the prophecy to prove the prophecy?
Well, because like I said, there's eyewitness writings of them witnessing him get revelation. So this is what I'm saying. Over time, when you have these prophecies that come true and the prophet, like people witnessing the prophet actually receiving revelation, that's what builds up the credibility, and that's what makes Muhammad, his words become true. That's what built his credibility.
So
And
how do you get around the Book of 9?
Book of 9. I'm not familiar. What is the Book of 9?
The Book of 9 is this book that was released around the 1600s, and it said that it was in line with like the Prophet Muhammad and the previous prophets, but it says that the prophet isn't a true prophet, right? But it's the word of God, so like we have to believe that.
Familiar of the Book of 9.
I'm saying that like if
Did
you
it
know
come from Prophet
I'm
Muhammad?
it comes after Muhammad. It's another prophet after him, but he confirms the prophet's message, right?
Well, the reason why that's not true is because in the Quran it states that there's no other prophet after Muhammad. So that's the reason why that's not taken.
Oh, what?
I mean, I understand. I don't really.
It's like why you're laughing, it's like those people who be playing like Yu-Gi-Oh or Pokemon, and they just start making up their own rules.
I can pull up the verse where it says there's no other prophet.
When I play this card, that means that you can't touch me even when I'm not off base. Like, bro, like
I mean, we can talk about like other topics like it and stuff too, but this really, I don't see where your argument was.
Bro, it's all you're saying. I'm asking you how you know that this person is a prophet, and you're saying we know it by the book that he revealed because we believe that it's the word of God.
Because of the credibility that he built throughout his life, which is why we know the Quran is true.
Okay, but there's people during the time of the prophet and after that said that he wasn't credible.
Like, for example, like
John,
like what do you mean just before or after? Like, you could say the same thing for people believing that the Bible isn't true, but that does nothing for you.
Oh my God. Oh my God. So listen here. You believe that Muhammad is in line with the prophet Jesus?
What's up? Sorry.
You believe that Muhammad is in line with what Jesus taught?
Yeah, the actual historical Jesus. I mean, you can go from the Bible
Brother,
and see that.
I don't need the whole thing. I just need a yes or no. Right?
Yeah.
So, okay. Where can I see what Jesus taught? Like the reliable teachings of Jesus that come before Muhammad? Because you believe that Muhammad is in line with what he taught.
Yeah.
Okay. Where can I see what Jesus taught that comes before Muhammad?
That the answer makes. I mean, the question makes no sense because you can't.
So
You
how do
literally
you know? How do you know he's
how
in
do you know
line with
that Rome
Jesus?
existed? It's called mass transmission. You can't just
Oh my
it doesn't make
God.
sense to ask for something that doesn't
How do you
exist.
know what Jesus taught?
Bro, this is what I'm trying to explain to you. By Muhammad building up credibility, it makes the Quran true. By making the Quran true, it's what portrays.
Okay, I'm attacking his credibility. I'm saying that he is only credible if we can verify he's in line with the previous prophets. You said, yeah. The Quran says, yeah. Now I'm asking you, can you prove that he's in line with the previous prophets? You're saying, why would I need to do that?
No, because I'm saying I get I kind of get your argument, but at the same time, it's like you could say that for anyone before history, before there was writing. That's the reason why we have Prophet
So
Muhammad,
look.
because the teachings don't exist of Jesus anymore.
I believe that Jesus came and said that there's a Messiah that was going to die. And I believe that he said that he was that Messiah that was going to die. Now, I'm not just going to believe just because somebody said it. I'm going to go to what the previous prophet said. And then I go to what the previous prophet said. And they say, yeah, there's this Messiah that's coming that's going to die by getting his hands and his feet pierced. Oh, so he's in line with the previous prophets. Okay. Now I can see that, I can see that he's authoritative.
But I'm saying, are those sources beforehand actually credible, and are they actually authentic?
Yes.
Using what standard do you think they're authentic and credible?
Because one, the oldest manuscripts that we have come hundreds of years before Christ was incarnate. So when we see
Are you talking
these
about the Old
things,
Testament?
yes.
Yeah.
So when we see these things that Jesus is saying and proclaiming, right, they're not things that are written in later by Christians that could be falsified, but rather we can know for certain that these writings existed prior to Christ and his teachings when he was incarnate. Okay, so now we have a reason to believe that these writings were around. Now we can also see what they said, and those prophecies, or these prophets who are writing and teaching about the Messiah, are saying that there's going to be one that's going to come and that he's going to die. Jesus claims to be that Messiah, and he comes and he dies.
But how don't you know that those sources have been changes to fit that narrative?
Because we would see the changes. And the good thing about the Bible and the manuscripts is that we have so many manuscripts spread so far out. So we would see anything that is changed, right? If a change takes place in Asia, it doesn't then mean that the manuscripts in Europe have now just all of a sudden disappeared and changed. No. So when people have so many copies of these manuscripts spread so far out, the probability of these things being changed, what it would take is what happened to the Quran. It would take somebody to gather all the manuscripts that are hidden around the crevices of the earth, which Christianity had no power to do, and then burn any other manuscript that didn't look like the manuscript that they approved of for whatever reason, which Christianity didn't have the power to do.
We can actually talk about that if you'd like.
I'm finna move on because I've been talking to you for a minute.
Like topics or people?
People.
Really?
Like,
I mean,
I don't understand.
I feel like this has been a good discussion, and we've only been on one topic this entire time.
You're not understanding that what you're saying is just circular. It doesn't make any sense.
No, the reason why I'm saying that is because you can make that same argument because I'm challenging the credibility of the Bible, but you see the Bible to be true. That's why you believe in the previous prophets and the prophecies happening.
Hold on. There's evidence for the Bible being true.
Evidence inside the Bible?
No, outside the Bible.
You just did the exact same thing.
outside the Bible. So the Bible is so the Quran is just one book written by one author, right? Who's Muhammad, or you might not
Yeah.
say written or whatever.
Well, author of God. Well,
yeah,
whatever. Yeah.
whatever. So that's just one author. The Bible consists of about 40 different authors. It's a collection of different books. So
Yeah,
these
that's
are
what Bible means.
yeah, these are different writings that have just been compiled. It's not one author. So when I'm cross-referencing what Mark says versus Matthew, those are two different authors writing two different writings around the same time. So it gives us a better idea as to what's going on